All right, check the mic after dark. We're back with an instant reaction. The Friday night Brazil game. Chargers 27, Chiefs 21. Pretty exciting finish here, Sam. Chargers seal the deal with Justin Herbert running for a first down on 3rd and long. Justin Herbert finished 25 of 34, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, 32 yards on the ground after a couple kneels, but some big plays there. Mahomes did his best. A lot to discuss here, but the Chargers get the win.
Yeah, I mean, the ending was pretty wild. It looked like the Chiefs were going to get another shot at it. You know, they got their score, and then got what looked like the defensive stomp, and then had a total breakdown. It looked like the Chargers, Kurt Warner was appealing for them to just hand the ball off, take it to the 2-minute warning, do what you can, but 3rd 14 or whatever it was, it's too much to realistically hope to pick up. The Chargers stayed aggressive. They dropped back to pass, and then Justin Herbert just saw open real estate and went for it. And that aggressiveness was really there all the way through the game. I mean, they were passing, Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, these are guys that have become like caricatures of conservative, old school. They just want to run the ball. Justin Herbert's never going to pass. He's going to have those Michigan J.J. McCarthy, stat lines. Not in this game. I mean, they came out passing and didn't really let up all the way through the game.
That's the biggest story of the game for me, was the Chargers being aggressive right off the bat. I mean, they started the first quarter. There was something like 12 or 13 dropbacks and only 4 designed runs. And look, they became pass heavy after about week 5 or 6 last year with Herbert, after they were, he was injured and they were really grinding the ball and on the ground. But we've said this for years, even if the Chiefs offense isn't as good as it once was, this is still the way to play, because I always talk about them being calibrated to win by 3. If they have to win a shootout, we saw what Mahomes can do. He just said, hey, I'm going to use my legs today. That's how we're going to score, right? They could put points up if they need to, but I really believe you have to stay aggressive, throw the ball, throw to win in this game. And I love that the Chargers did that in a couple key spots. Every time the Chiefs made what could have been their patented comeback, right? Hey, we're down 10. Now we're within a score. Watch out. Chiefs are coming. And the Chargers always answered. And I thought that was, answering and scoring is a key to the game, but they were aggressive to go do it.
They were, yeah. And by the way, like, if it wasn't for Mahomes, the Chiefs would have gotten stomped in this game. I mean, he was the only thing that really had any shot of bringing them back. And he did it, it's very reductive, and it's often kind of, just brought up as a narrative that, Mahomes carried the team on his back. And, sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. It really was true in this game. I mean, they had that drive, in the first half where they kept going for it on 4th down. They just had to get something going because nothing was working. And that felt like Mahomes trying to make things happen, ultimately gets sacked in that drive, and they have to settle for a field goal. Then he has that ridiculous pass from horizontal falling over again where, like the Super Bowl play, only this one was complete. And they were different, but the thing that made this one amazing to me is that whilst falling down, he understood that he was going to have to not just pass the ball forwards, but loft it upwards to get it over defenders, and knowing that he's going to have to throw it higher than you think you should because he's falling down at the same time. Like, having that level of intuitive, instinctive understanding of the physics involved in that play is utterly ridiculous.
It was an incredible play, and it came on 3rd down, I believe. And so you have the 3rd down there. You have the 4th down where, it was a bad coverage bust, but Mahomes also, avoids pressure just to create room to get the ball down the field to Marquise Brown. I mean, that play as well to keep the Chiefs alive. And like that 3rd down play, the little flip there, that opened it up for the coverage bust. The next play for the Travis Kelce long touchdown, right? So you have to make some of those spectacular plays to open up, just the opportunity to have the next play, which got the Chiefs back into it. So, I think it was a great back and forth game. It felt a little different. The Chiefs defense, I thought the Chargers, they had a lot of good answers. They didn't actually run the ball all that effectively. They were trying to get things going with a Marion Hampton, but it was the pass game, man. Every time they needed a big play, Keenan Allen was making plays, Ladd McConkey was making plays, and Quentin Johnston was making plays. He did have a drop in the end zone, but he was open and had the eventual game-winning touchdown, the difference maker there. So it bodes well for the Chargers, just having those different skill sets. Johnson, on shallow crosses and getting the ball down the field. Ladd can do it all, and Keenan Allen just being in the right place at the right time and knowing how to get open.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Quentin Johnson, even though he's been a disappointment so far in the NFL, outside of a game here or two where he's put some big stats out, the size, speed, and athleticism plays. Like, this was why, even though I didn't love him as a draft prospect, I was reluctant to drop him too far because, particularly in that year where, the other options were not particularly impressive physical specimens, Jordan Addison, JSN, like these were not guys that were, 6'3" and ran a 4.3 and those kinds of things. So in that class in particular, the thing that he brought to the table in terms of that athleticism and speed and size, like that still plays. There's a role for that. Maybe it's not the role you wanted it to be when you drafted him, or maybe it's a more narrow role, but it's there. I mean, DK Metcalf is a relatively one-dimensional receiver compared with other like high-end, $30 million a year type of players, but his role still absolutely cooks because he's huge and he runs fast and he's strong. There is a place for Quentin Johnson to still be an effective NFL player, and we saw a lot of that in this game.
All right, so a couple other key storylines in this game. Obviously, right off the top, third snap from scrimmage for the Kansas City Chiefs. Xavier Worthy collides with Travis Kelce, separated shoulder, some kind of shoulder injury that knocked him out for the game. And the Twitter doctors, I mean, this is ranging from, hey, could be back in a week or two, could be the season. I mean, it's like all over the place. I don't know if you got a better read or saw a better interpretation of what happened, but clearly losing the 4.21 speed Xavier Worthy in a year where Kansas City wants to go down the field. So they started chucking the ball to Tyquan Thornton down the field, missed on a couple connections early, and a year where they're trying to stretch the field and they lose Worthy 3 snaps into it.
Yeah, a big loss. I mean, I think when you get these really small wide receivers, you can protect yourself from a lot of hits. It's the one you don't see coming against somebody that weighs you by 80 pounds. That's the problem. Like, and this was ridiculous. Like, it was just a simple, mesh over the middle. And I don't know which one of them exactly goofed, but evidently, there were 2 guys in one spot, which is not the way that's supposed to work. And unfortunately, that's only going to result in one of them coming off badly, right? Travis Kelce is 250 pounds. Xavier Worthy is like 165, 170 pounds. You run into those 2 guys run into each other. Only one guy's getting hurt from that. And that's the way it went. And Worthy goes down, and 3 snaps in, you've lost a guy that was going to be a significant part of the offense, and who knows for how long.
I'm already seeing people theorizing, what about Tyreek Hill? Disgruntled Tyreek Hill coming back. Can you get him on the cheap? Probably not too cheap from Miami, but no. I'll just say, if Miami isn't good early in the season, if they start 2-4, 2-3, and Worthy is out for a long period of time, I think the rumors will absolutely heat up with Tyreek Hill. I don't know if Kansas City would even want to play in that market or not, but just something to keep an eye on. I think that the Chiefs had other issues tonight, though. I think the defense, they struggled, man. I thought they had little spurts here and there, but from a Kansas City perspective, they struggled. From a Chargers perspective, I thought Herbert was just outstanding. Knew when to run at the right time, obviously at the end there. By the way, that last play, I'm bouncing around here. That last play, if you listen to the preview show, which is up right now, right here on the YouTube channel, which you should be subscribed to, that last play had the exact scenario that we concocted. Chris Jones, game on the line, 3rd and long, rushing against Trey Pipkins, the backup right tackle. Now, what didn't happen, what usually happens is Jones tries to win to the outside. That's his go-to. He wins to the outside, uses his hands, and turns the corner and makes a big play. He decided to duck inside. Chiefs were playing man on the back end. That was easy pickings for Justin Herbert. Good read. He runs, finishes the game, slides to seal it. There's some little arguing on the sideline after that play, Chris Jones and Drew Tranquill, because they're saying, hey, you're ducking inside trying to get your pressure. You're trying to play hero ball. You didn't keep contain. And I think it's a worthy point, I think, from Drew Tranquill there.
It is. Yeah, I guess it's definitely a worthy point. Like, you took the gamble when you don't, when the gamble doesn't go your way, that's bad, right? However, you would also say that Chris Jones has kind of earned the right to roll that dice, given his history of dialing that play up. I mean, as you said, it was exactly what we thought it would be. And he's able to do that. And most of the time it works. And against Trey Pipkins, you would expect it to work. But it's one of those things where if you're going to do it, you've got to make the play. Like, not if you don't make the play, it is definitely giving up a significant play because a guy like Justin Herbert is capable of taking advantage of that. So, I think these are scenarios where guys do gamble and do freelance sometimes, but you can't freelance and miss.
All right, I saw someone in the chat way back asking about Marion Hampton. Had some thoughts on Hampton, the rookie first-round running back for the Chargers. I don't know about your feelings watching Hampton. And I want to talk about him before the half as well. That was a very significant play before the half. I really liked Hampton coming out. Thought he was the second best running back in the draft class, like a lot of people did. Always feel like I'm wanting more with a Marion Hampton. I think he has some plays where he bounces off of contact, and it's very impressive, the contact balance plays. And then there's other plays, 3rd and 1s, or where he just needs 1 or 2 yards to just lower the pads and finish. And I'm not always seeing that from him. I didn't love that at UNC. There's always like a little vision deal that I'm worried about, and a little, lower your pads and finish a play. Even though, look, he had the yards after contact number. It was over 4 at UNC, but I think a lot of that came from the contact balance plays, and then he's really explosive, so he creates a big play. So you get these big chunks, but in like those shorter yardage plays, I'm a little concerned about Hampton. And by the way, Najee, what do you have? 1 or 2 carries? He handled that pretty well. 1 carry for 5 yards where he ran through some contact. I wonder if they start to divvy that up a little bit differently in short yardage.
Maybe, but I think maybe short yardage, but I think the fact that the fact that the usage pattern was what it was says one of 2 things, if not both of them. Number one, Najee Harris is basically only just back from being cleared from that eye injury in the offseason, so who knows how close to 100% he is, and whether they would automatically start evening out that workload anyway. The second thing, though, is that Marion Hampton has been pretty good in pass protection as well, so that's a reason to keep him out there. Again, like Travion Henderson in New England, these are guys that are not going to have to come off the field if you don't want them to come off the field. A lot of rookies you've got to take off the field as soon as you get to the obvious passing downs because you can't trust them to pick up the blitz. You can't trust them to read the defense correctly. I think with both Travion Henderson and Marion Hampton, the coaches trust those guys to be out there. So they don't need to take them out unless they think, we have a better option here. I do. Yeah, we said as a prospect, like he's physically as talented as, any running back you're going to find generally. But I don't know that he has the best feel in the world for the position. It's not terrible, and it's more inconsistent than it is consistently mid or consistently bad. It's just some plays, it's not quite there. And if it's the right play or the wrong play, it's a problem.
And then you have the play just before the half. Look, I think the Chargers, they came out hot. They were throwing the ball. They get a lead, and they were getting the ball in the second half. They had a golden opportunity, pick up a few first downs before the half. They're in field goal range to go up 13-3 and get the ball coming out. Set it up perfectly. They pick up a penalty. There's an incomplete pass, and then they hand it off to Hampton. Chiefs have no timeouts left. All he has to do is go down. They kick a field goal. They're up 10. They go into the half. He runs out of bounds. Gave the Chiefs another opportunity. Chiefs go down and kick that fire drill field goal. Little stuff like that. That's the type of stuff that teams do against the Chiefs. Remember last year, how many times it's like team made this mistake. They made a mistake. They made a mistake, and the Chiefs end up winning by 3. Obviously, the Chargers, the offense is what won it for them because they just kept answering. But that looked like it could have been one of those mistakes that brings the Chiefs back into the game, and something obviously I think Hampton in particular needs to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs being what they are, you don't want to give them life. You don't want to give them air when you're trying to get ahead, stay ahead, just stomp them out of a game. And the Chargers gave them multiple lifelines in this game. That was a really bad one. The Chiefs did take advantage of that one, and that kept them in the game longer than they should have been. And then obviously late on as well, they let those total coverage busts on a big, was it third down, big, key down that they just fell off the coverage completely. And that was the biggest play Kansas City had in the game, got them right back in it. So, multiple times the Chargers gave Kansas City life, and uncharacteristically, the Chiefs weren't able to take advantage of it this time.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up Teair Tart and what happened with that. So if you want to break down, it ended up being, did he have 2 or 3 batted passes? One at least on a 2-point conversion.
Definitely 2. I think he had a pressure as well. That was an important play.
So Tart with an open hand that is merely a 15-yard, and it was a half the distance penalty at the time. Open hand smack to the face is not an ejection. A closed fist is. Tart goes with the open hand, so we got to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, apparently. It's not. I think pretty sure it's not as black and white as that in the rules. Like, if you
I'm
throw
just
with a closed fist, it's an
relaying
ejection.
the explanation.
If you
Sorry.
throw with an open fist, it's fine. I think like there's a degree to which you have to factor in, like how powerful the strike is with an open hand, etc. I mean, he threw a full-on punch to the guy's head. He just didn't have a closed fist. It was as clear a. I mean, Shiloh Sanders got ejected in the preseason. This was as clear a shot to the head as that was, and Thierry Tart ends up having a pretty significant impact on this game after the point where he definitely should have been ejected from it.
Yeah, that was another big moment in this game. What else? I thought the Chiefs' offensive line held up pretty well. There was a couple times that I think they messed up some blitz protections or whatever. Creed Humphrey had another one of those. I don't know if that's going to come back to bite him. He had another one of those ground ball snaps that he was breaking out last year at times. Like Creed Humphrey's unbelievable, except every now and again he's just going to roll a shotgun snap back there, and Mahomes still ended up fielding it and completing the pass. I thought the run game wasn't really great for KC. It looked like last year's, but pass protection overall was better. Juwan Taylor, though, 4 penalties by my count. Was it 2 holds and 1 hold and 3 false starts, I believe? Josh Simmons had another 2 false starts in there. So, like, that part of the offensive line was not great for KC.
Yeah, maybe they're not going to let Juwan Taylor away with it this year. He's still going to be a penalty machine.
Those were the early jump ones too that they got. A couple, they were pretty blatant.
I mean, Josh Simmons didn't do terribly, but for all the hype that's been surrounding him in preseason, I wasn't that impressed by him. I mean, he was in large part because he was up against Bud Dupree, who, let's be honest, is a player of a certain level, and that level is not tremendously high. Bud Dupree got him multiple times in that game. That, Josh Simmons is going to have significantly tougher assignments over the course of the season than Bud Dupree. And if you struggle that much with Bud Dupree, maybe the preseason and training camp hype has been a little bit over the top.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, mentioned, I think in the preview show, the Chiefs' schedule, right? I said, hey, look, if they start slow, this is significant. They have the Eagles next week at home, so they both have a couple extra days of rest there. But Eagles at home, then they go to the Giants, and then the Ravens, Jaguars, and Lions over the next few weeks. So of the first 6 games, 3 pretty known elite teams as far as the Eagles, Ravens, and Lions. The Chargers, who obviously are very good, and they were a playoff team last year. The feisty Giants, and who knows what you're going to get from the Jags. But at least 3 or 4 of those games, or the 3 of those remaining games are huge. They're in danger of starting slow if they don't figure this out. Marquise Brown finishes with 16 targets in this game after Xavier Worthy goes down, including that 49-yarder behind the defense. But it was mostly all the short stuff, right, that they were trying to give Marquise Brown. They're giving Tyquan Thornton the deep stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how this offense deals with however long they're not with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I mean, immediately right away, the Chiefs are back to like, this is now a receiving core that's not quite what it's supposed to be again, right? Like, you're still waiting for Rashee Rice because of what he's dealing with. You've got Xavier Worthy goes down after 3 snaps, and again, right away, Friendly Fire throws a grenade into the middle of this receiving core, and the Chiefs' offense is it's for multiple years now, it's not been the group that it's supposed to be. Now, they may just have to deal with that as just a state of like a baseline for this offense. But again, they're going to have to muddle through it. Mahomes is going to have to carry the team.
Anything else on the Chargers? Mekhi Becton playing through some food poisoning down in Brazil. He gutted it out.
He did. And played pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, and Joe Alt looked great.
Joe Alt looks amazing.
At least in pass pro. I'd have to go back and watch the run game a little bit closer. Every time I'm watching him in pass pro, you're seeing replays. He's locking up Chris Jones, whoever they're throwing at him. I think the Chiefs are kind of weak over there at right end as well when Karlaftis is on the other side. So that's something to keep an eye on. But I thought Alt looked fantastic.
I will say Chris Jones, quite early in the game, got like rolled up on. George Karlaftis, I think, made a tackle on somebody, and the two of them like buried their way into Chris Jones' leg. It looked nasty for a split second. I kind of wonder if he was carrying that for the rest of the game and if he was 100% healthy. If he was, like if that was nothing and he was good to go, then the Joe Alt in particular, I mean, there was a rep where Chris Jones did his Chris Jones thing, like 3rd down, let's go out and let's make Joe Alt's day miserable. Joe Alt just absorbed it like it was nothing. You don't see people do that to Chris Jones.
Mohall making the point that Herbert looks healthy and mobile. And look, by week 2 last year, he had 3 injuries, right? He had more injuries than completions one game. And when he is healthy, ball comes out of his hand great, gets the ball down the field, can win at every level, can win by just making good decisions, and then he could run when he needs to. Obviously made that the nice run to seal it in this game. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Year 2 of Harbaugh, the defense looked very good for the Chargers outside of a few really good Mahomes plays, right? A 4th and 7, a little flip, right? Couple plays where Mahomes just, did it to them and made it work. But Chargers look really good on both sides of the ball here. So, and I love the aggressiveness from Greg Roman. Yeah. I absolutely love the way they came out firing, and that bodes well. They're scheming it up in the red zone, play action early, very aggressive Chargers, I think was the story of this game.
I mean, our friend Brett Coleman made the joke on Twitter that Happy learned how to putt. Like if Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh have embraced the pass game, in addition to everything else they do that's good, this Chargers team might be significantly more terrifying for everybody else than people expected them to be.
It's huge. I love it. This is our first instant reaction of the year because last night we were live for the game and beyond on the watch along. Appreciate everybody that tuned in last night. Let us know if you want to do some more watch alongs. Let us know. Tell YouTube, by the way, next time they do a game, we should be getting the live game stream. We're not big enough, and we're not big enough yet. But someday, Sam, we can aspire to doing the real watch along with the real game, like some of the other big influencers in YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on technological upgrades, by which I mean not using a phone next time, so the battery will last.
We'll get there.
And also potentially having a score bug in the corner that will actually let people sync up with where we are in the game, which I think would be a pretty big game changer.
Yeah, I think it will be. And then we announced last night we do have memberships. If you're interested, take a look. New memberships here for Check the Mic. Got some.
You can see
more about it.
You can see the people in the chat, members. They've got themselves some green titles, some custom emojis and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff in the. We've got 3 different tiers of memberships. You can find the details there when you sign up to it. But a big thank you to everyone that's already jumped on them, and those of you that haven't, that are just here in the chat, chilling and paying the bills. As Jared said.
Look at those. Yeah, look at those emojis coming through. Is that my? Where's that headshot coming from? I'll have to zoom in. But I appreciate everybody that joined last night. And then our last programming note here, we are planning this season to go live on Sunday after the 4:00 games. We'll do our instant, first look, instant reaction to the 1 and 4 o'clock slates. So we'll do that just before Sunday Night Football, competing with Football Night in America and Chris Sims and all those guys. So we'll go live, do an instant reaction Sunday night. And then, of course, the big show is Monday morning, 7 a.m., until who knows how long, because we have our own studio now. So we could go as long as we want. So Monday, 7 a.m., reviewing every single game from week 1. All right, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Happy Friday night. And we'll see you again on Sunday and then Monday.